My wife called me boring and I caught her kissing her gym trainer on our anniversary and then found out she's pregnant. Now I'm marrying the girl who waited 7 years for me. I, 35M, need to get this off my chest. Sorry if this is too long, but I need to tell my story from the beginning to make sense of everything that happened. I met Genevieve in 8th grade when I was 13. I still remember that day clearly. I was in the library during lunch break, as usual, solving math problems while everyone else was in the cafeteria. She walked in, looking lost and frustrated. She was the most popular girl in school, beautiful, outgoing, and everyone wanted to be her friend. I was shocked when she approached my table and asked if I could help her with algebra. That's how it started. We would meet every day during lunch break. I would help her with math, and she would share her lunch with me because I always forgot to bring mine. Soon, we started hanging out after school too. She introduced me to her friends, and suddenly, the nerdy kid who spent all his time in the library had a social life. By the time we reached high school, we were dating. Everyone was surprised that Genevieve chose me over the football players and popular guys who were always asking her out. But we just clicked. She brought excitement to my life, and I gave her the stability she needed. Her parents loved me because her grades improved after we started dating. My parents adored her because she got me out of my shell. We went to the same college. It wasn't planned, she actually got a better scholarship offer from another university, but she chose to stay with me. We lived in the same dorm building, had the same friend group, and planned our future together. I studied computer science while she majored in physical education. We both landed good jobs right after graduation. I joined a tech company, and she became a fitness trainer at a local gym. Getting married was the natural next step. Everyone expected it. Our wedding was perfect, just like our relationship. The first few years of marriage were exactly what we had dreamed of. We bought a house in a nice neighborhood, had good jobs, and were planning to start trying for a baby after her promotion. Everything changed when Genevieve switched to this upscale gym called Elite Fitness last year. She was excited about the opportunity because it paid better and had better facilities. That's where she met Connor, the head trainer. At first, all she talked about was how amazing he was at his job and how much she was learning from him. I was happy for her because she seemed passionate about work. But then things started changing slowly. She began staying late at work, saying she had training sessions with clients. She would be on her phone constantly, smiling at texts, but would turn the screen away if I walked by. When I asked about it, she accused me of being controlling and paranoid. She started criticizing everything about me, how I dressed, how I spent my free time, even how I ate. The changes in her behavior became more noticeable. If I suggested staying home for a movie night, something we both used to love, she would call me boring and predictable. If I planned a surprise date night, she would say she was too tired from work. She stopped sitting with me in the evenings, stopped sharing details about her day, and even moved to the guest bedroom, claiming my snoring kept her awake. I don't snore. Last month was our 7th wedding anniversary. I had planned to surprise her at work with her favorite lilies and take her to the restaurant where we had our first date. I still remember walking into the gym, flowers in hand, feeling excited about surprising her. The receptionist told me Genevieve was in Connor's office discussing training schedules. The door wasn't completely closed. Through the gap, I saw them making out against his desk. I stood there frozen, the flowers falling from my hand. The sound made them jump apart. Genevieve saw me and her face went pale. I didn't say a word, I just turned around and walked out. She came home that night acting completely normal, as if she hadn't just shattered our entire marriage. When I confronted her, she didn't even try to deny it. She admitted she had been sleeping with Connor for 3 months. Her explanation? I had become too boring and predictable. She said Connor made her feel alive and excited. She said she still loved me but wasn't in love with me anymore. I packed some clothes and left that night. My friend Mark let me stay at his place. Over the next week, my phone was flooded with calls and messages. Genevieve's parents called repeatedly, saying I needed to give their daughter another chance. Her mom actually said I should try to be more exciting and romantic to win her back. My parents were furious with Genevieve. They always treated her like their own daughter, and her betrayal hurt them deeply. At work, my colleague Blake has been incredibly supportive. She would notice when I skipped lunch and bring me food. She would stay late to help me with projects when I couldn't focus. Last week, she confessed something that shocked me. She had feelings for me even before I married Genevieve. She never said anything because she saw how happy we were together, and she respected our relationship too much to interfere. I filed for divorce immediately. Genevieve keeps trying to convince me to try marriage counseling. She says 7 years of marriage shouldn't end because of one mistake. But it wasn't one mistake, it was 3 months of conscious decisions to betray me. Her parents are pressuring mutual friends to convince me to reconsider, saying marriage needs work and forgiveness. But I'm done. I don't want to be with someone who thinks it's okay to cheat just because their partner is boring. I don't want to be with someone who expects me to change my personality to keep them faithful. I deserve better than that, and maybe I've found it with Blake. She likes me exactly as I am, boring movie nights, quiet reading times, and all. I know this was long, but it feels good to get it all out. If you've read this far, thank you for listening to my story. Update 1: Things have gotten really messy since my last post, and I need to share what's been happening because it's too much to handle alone. Yesterday, I was working from home when my doorbell rang. I opened the door to find a woman I'd never met before. She introduced herself as Sarah, Connor's wife. Yes, the same Connor who was sleeping with my wife. I invited her in, and what she revealed turned my world upside down even more. Sarah had found text messages between Connor and Genevieve on Connor's old phone. She showed me screenshots of their conversations going back 6 months, not 3 months like Genevieve had claimed. They had been planning to move in together after our divorce was finalized. But here's the bombshell: Genevieve is pregnant, and they're not sure who the father is. The texts were nauseating to read. Genevieve and Connor would mock my boring lifestyle, making fun of how I preferred quiet evenings at home over parties. They joked about how I never suspected anything when Genevieve said she had late client sessions. There were intimate photos they had shared, plans they made for vacations while I was away on business trips, and even discussions about how they would break the news to everyone after the divorce. Sarah told me this wasn't Connor's first affair. Apparently, he has a pattern of targeting married women at the gym, especially those in long-term relationships. He would start by offering them special training sessions, then compliment them constantly, make them feel special and excited. He did this with at least 4 other women before Genevieve. Sarah stayed with him because of their 3 kids, but this time she's filing for divorce too. After Sarah left, I got a call from Genevieve's mother. The news of the pregnancy had reached them somehow. Her tone was completely different from 2 weeks ago. Instead of accusing me of being unforgiving, she was now begging me to take Genevieve back because there's a chance the baby could be mine. She went on about how divorce would ruin their reputation in our small town, how people would talk if Genevieve had a baby right after our divorce. I hung up mid-conversation. My parents are even more furious now. My mom wanted to confront Genevieve's parents about trying to manipulate me into taking her back, but I convinced her to stay out of it. My dad, who always treated Genevieve like his own daughter, can't even say her name anymore without getting angry. I've been spending more time with Blake lately. After work, we often go to this quiet coffee shop near our office. She's so different from Genevieve. While Genevieve always needed to be the center of attention, Blake is content just sitting in comfortable silence. She loves reading, just like me, and doesn't think my hobbies are boring. We haven't started dating yet because I want to wait until my divorce is finalized, but there's definitely something special growing between us. The situation at work has become awkward. Word got out about Genevieve's pregnancy, and now everyone has an opinion. Some colleagues think I should try to work things out with her, at least until we know who the father is. Others, especially those who know about Connor's history with married women, support my decision to leave. Our friend group has split into 2 camps. Mark and his wife, who have been our friends since college, are firmly on my side. They've cut all contact with Genevieve. But some friends, like Rachel and Tom, think I'm being too harsh by not even considering reconciliation. They keep saying that pregnancy changes everything and that I might regret not trying to save my marriage. Yesterday, Genevieve tried to corner me at the grocery store. She was crying, saying she made a huge mistake and that the baby might be mine. She begged me to at least wait for the paternity test results before finalizing the divorce. When I refused, she got angry and said I never truly loved her if I could walk away so easily. I just walked away while she was still talking. The irony isn't lost on me. She cheated because I was too boring and predictable, but now she wants that boring, predictable life back. She texted me later saying she misses our quiet evenings at home, our weekend movie marathons, all the things she used to complain about. Sarah and I have been in contact, supporting each other through this mess. We're both filing for divorce, and we've been sharing information about Connor's patterns of behavior with other gym members. Several women have come forward saying he made inappropriate advances towards them too. I'm meeting with my lawyer tomorrow to discuss expediting the divorce process. Genevieve's pregnancy doesn't change anything for me. Even if the baby turns out to be mine, I'll support the child, but I won't go back to her. I deserve someone who loves me for who I am, not someone who cheats because I'm not exciting enough. Blake has been my rock through all of this. She doesn't push for anything more than friendship, but she's always there when I need to talk or just need company. Sometimes I wonder how different my life would have been if I had noticed her feelings before marrying Genevieve. But I try not to dwell on what ifs. Right now, I'm focusing on getting through this divorce and maybe, when the time is right, starting something new with someone who appreciates me for exactly who I am. I'll update again when I have more news about the paternity test or the divorce proceedings. Update 2: A lot has happened since my last update, and things took an even darker turn than I expected. First, the paternity test results came back. Connor is the father of Genevieve's baby. When the results came out, Genevieve showed up at my apartment unannounced, crying hysterically. She said even though the baby isn't mine, we could still work things out. She talked about how she made the biggest mistake of her life and how she misses our life together. I simply asked her to leave. The divorce is almost finalized. Genevieve didn't contest anything after the paternity test results. She's letting me keep the house, and we've already divided our assets. Her parents have stopped calling me, finally accepting that their daughter ruined our marriage. Blake and I started dating last month. We're taking things slow, but it feels right in a way my relationship with Genevieve never did. There's no pressure to be someone I'm not. We can spend an entire weekend just reading books together or working on our own projects in comfortable silence. She actually gets excited about my interests instead of mocking them. But here's where things get really messed up. Yesterday, Sarah called me in tears. She had been going through Connor's laptop, looking for evidence for their divorce proceedings, when she found a hidden folder. It contained videos, dozens of them, of his encounters with married women from the gym, including Genevieve. He had been secretly recording everything and using these videos to blackmail the women into continuing their affairs. Sarah turned the laptop over to the police. They found evidence that Connor had been doing this for years at different gyms across the state. He would target women in long-term relationships, seduce them, record their encounters, and then use the videos to control them. Some women had been paying him money to keep quiet. Others, like Genevieve, were manipulated into continuing the affair under threat of exposure. Connor was arrested this morning. The police found videos of at least 12 different women on his laptop. Several women from the gym have come forward with similar stories. Some had been afraid to speak up because of the videos. The gym has fired both Connor and Genevieve, and they're facing several lawsuits from the women involved. Genevieve called me after Connor's arrest. She was sobbing, trying to explain that she wanted to end things with him months ago, but he threatened to send our families the videos. Part of me feels sorry for her, but another part remembers how she mocked me in those text messages with Connor, how she blamed me for being boring when she was choosing to cheat. Our mutual friends who had been pushing me to reconcile with Genevieve are now apologizing to me. They had no idea about the blackmail videos. Even Rachel and Tom, who were the most vocal about me being too harsh, came over to apologize. They brought over my old gaming console that I had left at their place months ago. Genevieve's parents finally came to see me. They broke down and apologized for trying to pressure me into reconciliation. Her father admitted they were more worried about what people would say about their daughter having a baby with a married man than they were about my feelings or mental health. Her mother couldn't even look me in the eye. Blake has been incredibly supportive through all of this. When news of the videos broke, she took a day off work to stay with me, knowing how overwhelming everything would be. She never says I told you so, even though she had always felt something was off about Connor when Genevieve first started working with him. The whole situation has turned into a huge scandal in our small town. The gym is facing investigation for negligence, as there had been complaints about Connor's behavior before but they were ignored. Several of his victims are planning to press charges. Sarah is working with a lawyer to build a case against him. I'm just glad I got out when I did. Yes, it hurts to know that Genevieve was being blackmailed, but she still chose to start the affair. She still chose to mock me and blame me for her decisions. Now she's dealing with the consequences. She's lost her job, most of her friends, and she's having a baby with a man who's probably going to prison. Meanwhile, I'm moving forward with my life. Blake and I are talking about moving in together once my divorce is final. It's strange how life works out sometimes. I had to lose what I thought was a perfect marriage to find someone who truly accepts and loves me for who I am. Update 3: It's been 6 months since my original post, and my life has completely transformed. The divorce was finalized 2 months ago. Blake and I moved in together last month, and honestly, it's been incredible. We converted the spare bedroom into a library where we both work and read. She understands my need for quiet time and actually shares it, unlike Genevieve who always saw it as a flaw. The legal drama with Connor has intensified. He's facing multiple charges of extortion and invasion of privacy. The police found evidence that he had been doing this at 3 different gyms over the past 5 years. More women have come forward, and now he's looking at possible jail time. Sarah has been incredibly strong through all of this. She's become an advocate for other victims and is working with a women's support group. Genevieve gave birth last week. She moved back in with her parents and left the fitness industry completely. She tried to reach out to me through Mark, asking if I would come to see the baby. I declined. The baby isn't mine, and I've moved on with my life. She's Connor's responsibility, even if he's probably going to prison. I ran into Genevieve at the grocery store yesterday. She looked tired and different, not at all like the confident trainer she used to be. She tried to talk to me, saying she regrets everything and misses our boring life together. She mentioned how she now understands the value of quiet evenings at home and stable relationships. I just walked away. I'm done with that chapter of my life. Blake and I are planning to get married next spring. It's going to be a small ceremony, nothing like my wedding with Genevieve. My parents adore Blake. My mom actually cried when we told them about our engagement, saying she finally has a daughter-in-law who truly appreciates her son. Blake's family has welcomed me warmly too. Her brother and I have become close friends, bonding over our shared love of old sci-fi movies. The gym where everything happened has shut down after multiple lawsuits. Turns out Connor wasn't the only problem. The management had been covering up complaints about him for years. Sarah won her divorce settlement, getting full custody of their kids and most of their assets. She's using part of the money to help other victims with their legal fees. Some people in our social circle still think I should have been more understanding of Genevieve's situation with the blackmail. But they don't understand that the betrayal happened long before the blackmail. She chose to start the affair, chose to mock me behind my back, chose to blame me for her decisions. The blackmail came later. My life is peaceful now. Blake and I have a routine that some might call boring. We work, we read, we cook together, we watch documentaries. But she makes me feel loved and accepted for exactly who I am. Last night, we were just sitting on our couch, both reading our own books in comfortable silence, when she looked up at me and smiled. That moment of quiet understanding meant more to me than all the excitement Genevieve said I was lacking. Sometimes the best endings aren't about dramatic reconciliations or forgiveness. Sometimes they're about walking away from toxicity and finding peace elsewhere. I'm thankful every day that I had the strength to leave when I did, and that I found someone who loves the real me. This will be my last update. Thanks to everyone who supported me through this journey. Life is good, peaceful, and yes, wonderfully boring, exactly how I like it.